So today I just want to take you guys through a workout that was very heavy for me, and it was heavy for me because I felt very physically heavy and very physically out of it. I was very weak, probably because I had a whole bunch of cookies last night, but we just gonna pretend like I did it, and I was just really weak and heavy for one reason or another. Now, regardless of the reasoning, whatever it could be, I find that if you try really hard on days where you feel like absolute not the best, then the workout turns out to be really excellent. Because I feel like on really strong days, you just kind of put it on cruise control and you just cruise off of feeling good and awesome, and you actually end up not doing the most amount of effort that you can, just because you hit a new PR, you're like, okay, that's good enough, whatever, and then you stop. But that was not the case today because I was feeling extremely heavy, and because I was feeling heavier today, I decided to alter my workout a little bit. Let's jump into it. Now, I started off with one arm assisted hangs off of 20 millimeters, and I'm basically holding it for as long as I can while focusing the primary of the weight on the top hand with the assistance on the down hand. Now, the thing I really enjoy about these is because the top hand is really holding it nice and strong. I'm leaning the weight to it, but the down hand is a very controlled manner. So when my right hand starts to get tired, I could assist it a little bit with the down hand, and now I could pump out even more of that effort that I was talking about previously. And doing it this way, it feels like I'm not only working that top end strength, I'm hitting that little bit, that middle end strength, and a little bit below that middle end strength too for my one arm hangs. I then followed this immediately with a one arm assisted pull-ups. Now I'm doing 10 per arm, and at the top of each of the pull-ups, I slightly let go of my assisting hand, and then I come right back down. Now, I don't know if you could tell or not, but when I do my one arm assisted pull-ups with my right arm, I'm not going all the way down for a complete full range of motion. And the reason is because my right elbow is just a little bit tweaky at the bottom position if I do one arm pull-ups off of it. My left arm, totally fine. And if I do it with two arms at the same time, totally fine. But just because of this and the intense load, I do it and I don't come exactly all the way down with my right arm. I stop short by like half an inch. And now when I'm doing my one arm pull-ups, the end goal is just to do 10 per arm. So if I take like a rest or I switch arms back and forth, it doesn't matter. I'm just trying to go for 10 per arm, and then I'm a pretty happy chap. Now I'm gonna follow this up with 30 push-ups. Now the way I like to do these 30 push-ups is I like to isolate my triceps first, because I'm a very chest dominant human being, and therefore my arms, they don't really get hit proper. So I'll hit my triceps by doing my push-ups, but when I do my push-ups, I'll lean to the right and do 10 on the right side, and then I'll lean to the left, do 10 on the left side, and then I'll go straight on, and then I'll do 10 just like that. And doing it this way, I find this, not only do I get to hit the triceps a little bit more, but I find it's much easier to do it shifting as opposed to just doing 30 straight on. Now, I did do a total of 4 sets of these, and that brings it up to about 80 pull-ups in total and 120 push-ups, give or take. Now, when I'm doing my sets, I am resting approximately 3 to 5 minutes. But I'm not really exactly keeping track. I'm just resting, and then when my body starts to feel a little bit lazy, I kick it up, and then I start my next set immediately. And this way I find I'm getting pumped properly, and I'm still moving, and I'm not exactly wasting the greatest amount of time. And sometimes resting too long, they get a little bit too cold. And this way I'm just constantly moving. Now, after I did those 4 sets, I did do some mixed hangs. Now you will see that my hands are right on the edge of the hang board in this way. This is just a measurement for me to have an even hand positioning every single time. If I just push it all the way to the edge, I know that my hands are even every time because I'm a bit of a symmetrical OCD type of guy. Now the top hand is on 20 millimeter, and the bottom hand is in the 3-finger drag on 6 or 8 millimeters. I'm not so sure. Doesn't really matter. The point is I can't support it with my left hand entirely. And what I am trying to do here is I'm not just focusing on my right arm like I did with my other exercise. I'm focusing on both arms, trying to pull as hard as I can with both arms. Obviously, the one that's on 20 millimeters and is higher is taking more of the load, but the bottom hand is contributing greatly. And I'm just trying to hold this for as long as I can. And I'm hoping I average at least about 10 seconds, give or take. Now, I superset that with one arm assisted lockoffs. Now, the goal with these one arm assisted lockoffs is I'm trying to hold it for at least 10 seconds. And if I could hold it for 10 seconds, I'm trying to exceed it past 10 seconds. And when I'm holding these, I am trying as hard as I possibly humanely can to hold it. I'm feeling it in my lats, not so much my bicep. And with my assisting arm, I'm not holding the bar. I'm actually just hooking my wrist over it. And this way I have to actually try relatively hard to press down on my wrist if I want that support. And this way, like both arms are working, but the one that's mostly working is the one that's holding my body weight. And therefore the assisting arm doesn't take over, but it's still working just as hard as the arm that is taking over. Therefore, I'm trying really hard and I don't really have to hold back, which I think is pretty important when it comes to finding a way of assisting yourself that's just not too overly powerful, that takes control of the movement. Afterwards, I dropped down and then bust out my 30 push-ups, and so I did 3 sets of that shenanigan, and that makes for about 30 seconds of lock off per arm at a minimum, hopefully, and a total of another 90 push-ups. Now I go into my cool down, right? And for my cool down, I just basically hung off of the 20mm edge, 2 hands, and I just did it for however long is comfortable, 10-20 seconds give or take on average. And then I went to the pull-up bar, did a 1-arm hang, and then switched and then did another 1-arm dead hang. Now the reason why I'm doing these 1-arm dead hangs off the pull-up bar, it's not because I think it's going to contribute to becoming a better climber, but because I totally suck at hanging off of the pull-up bar for one reason or another. I just always suck at hanging off of the pull-up bar. And then I basically just did 3 sets of these. Relatively easy, relatively simple. And then now I was gonna skedaddle the heck out of there, but I was like, I should do some pull-ups just to work that full range of motion, because for me, if I don't do like my pull-ups, I do start to feel a little bit heavier on the wall. And I was like, I'm feeling really heavy today. Let me do something to help try to counteract that. And thus I was doing some pull-ups. So what I did was I did my 10 pull-ups, not the strongest pull-ups in the world, but I did 10 of them. And then for what I really started incorporating as lately, couple months, is for that last rep of my pull-up, I'll go up and then I'll stop halfway at a lock-off position. And when I'm in that lock-off position, I'll hold it for 10, 15, 8 seconds, whoever knows. And I find that just gives me a little bit more out of my set without dampening the first part of it. It's a little bit bonus at the end that I could always do. And I feel like it gives me just a little bit more oomph, a little bit more oof out of the set. You should definitely try it if you haven't. I think it's only a win-win. After that, I superset by hanging off the 20mm edge just for however long I feel is comfortable and it's challenging. I'm not really trying to push it all the way to the end like I did previously. I'm just going, okay, that feels good. And then I'll drop off. Now I did do that for 3 sets, which adds an additional 30 pull-ups to my count of my pull-ups. Now, I will say when I'm doing my hangboarding work, I think it's really important to tape out your fingers. For me, where my skin gets pulled the most is on my pinkies and my index finger. Therefore, I tape those up to prevent my skin splitting at the crease, which would totally suck. Now, obviously, no climbing workout is actually complete unless you actually did some form of climbing. Now, because I feel atrociously heavy and like dog doodle, I decided to hop on the moonboard, and on the moonboard, I'm just doing some V4s. Now, I've done these V4s before. I'm sure I have. And I'm just not resting that long. I'm resting maybe 1 to 2 minutes at most, 1 minute on average per attempt, per climb. And if I fall off the climb, I'm resting like 30 to 60 seconds. Now, the reason why I'm resting so little is because for me, today's workout, the purpose is it's a max effort type of workout, not necessarily a max strength type of workout. And also, these are V4s, and I don't really need to rest that long, even though I feel like complete doo-doo. Me being very tired, completely exhausted, I should still be able to bust these out relatively easily. And you may see me fall a few times, do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. But again, I don't need to rest that long, 30, 60 seconds, and I'm back on, and then I'll be able to do it. And so I think I only ended up doing like about 5 V4s in that time span of like, say, maybe 10, 11, 12 minutes, give or take, because I had to record and then change the boulder problem using my phone. And then eventually I got fed up with it after about those. And then I decided to go to the spray wall. Now I chose this specific spray wall at the gym because it has big, nice, friendly holes that aren't too fingery. And when my fingers are already taxed from hangboarding and doing a little bit of moonboard, I'm like, well, I still should try to tax my hand strength, just the ability to close and squeeze my hands without necessarily ruining my fingers anymore. And so I'm onto this spray wall. Now I'm just making my own boulder problems, and I try very hard to make them easy and fun. Easy in the sense that I could do it relatively quickly, and fun in the sense that it doesn't hurt me to do them. Now, the thing I like about spray wall climbing is you could very easily make up these easy problems. Now, just because they're easy problems doesn't mean there's no nuance to it. There's always a little bit of surprise every time you come up with a problem on your own accord, because you never know what's going to happen when you say that and that hole, but then you try to go and all suddenly it just doesn't happen. Therefore, you got to put it back into your head and bust it out again with a different type of solution. So for me, I found that the heel wasn't working for the next move. Therefore, I switched it to the toe hook, which worked excellently. And then the top move, I totally slipped off of this blue sloper, And then that got into my head like, okay, this is way too hard of a boulder problem. I need to start changing the top. So then I spent a few attempts messing around with the top, trying to change it. But then I ultimately went back to the original problem of the using the blue. And the thing about the blue is you got to hit at this cross section where it's the best hold. And from here, you just got to crank up, be very slow, put a lot of weight on your left foot, and then whoop, just a little bump to the orange sloper, which is a total sloper. Pretty good, but not exactly the best finish, but I got it. Now, my second problem I made was a total banger. The start is this white underclane dish, which is not as good as it appears. And then you do a dyno to these two holes, which are really good. Now, I personally don't like dynoing because I like to climb outdoors as a way of rewarding my abilities to climb, because all my projects are like very static climbing. Therefore, I try to become more of a static climber, and I'm not exactly into the dynamic stuff, but I do think it's good for the human body and for climbing to periodically do a more dynamic style of climbing. And after you get those two pinch holes, right, you go through this horrible orange sloper, which is completely trash and it's absolutely horrible hole. And at first I thought I'd go right heel, right hand. That did not work at all. And then after that, I tried left hand, left heel, and that didn't work at all. And then I tried left hand, right heel, that totally worked. And I thought it was what's that word called? Pretty funny how I instinctually did all the wrong things first before I managed to do the correct beta, because this was just a limb thing at the time. It wasn't even like a discovering micro beta thing at the time. It's just, no, move your body one limb at a time. So I thought it was funny that, instinctually I just did everything wrong, but it is what it is. And also, let's just take a quick gander at the angle that my right leg is in when I heel. It's really open. It's extremely externally rotated, and we call that stretching. +2. Y'all should stretch more. And then I finished off by trying this new boulder that I made, but I just kept falling off. And at that point in time, I was like, I could still keep going, but I feel like I've done enough considering how heavy and horrible I felt that day. But yeah, anyways, today was a atrociously weak, heavy day for me. But on days like this, I find that if I try really hard, then the results of the climbing feel really good for my body. Yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time, partner.